Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I thought you were with that paper one.
No. They don't make this Bible anymore. It was my favorite one. My
Dixon. What's that?
Dickinson. Dixon. I knew it was Dixon. Something.
it's like it's the King James and the New American Standard Parallel.
Oh,
But they don't make it anymore. It was my favorite.
that's kind of cool though.
I never heard of that.
So if you're stuck between two, or you just got two favorites.
Like the the American Standard is like in parentheses in the verse.
Okay.
But
You know why she liked it? Because she clings to that King James, but she don't know what it says.
I'll be honest, this morning I was thinking about it in the shower because I have 2 other copies of it that I bought for my future children. Because like I said, they don't, it's not published anymore. Someone bought the copyright
And just stopped it?
to stop it, yeah.
Really?
But then I hit me this morning, I was like,
She's over
my
there
children
reading.
probably not going to read King James Version.
No, they're probably reading it to New York.
I don't know how you feel about the person who stopped
Yeah.
a version of the Bible like that. It's like, hey, this is helping people understand the Bible more. We got to cut that out. You got to get that patent and stop that.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's a little dangerous.
I'm trying to go back to a paper version.
What?
Because I was using like my phone and I
Oh.
don't like it as much. So
It's different.
I'm really trying to get back to paper. Make notes and stuff.
We already talked about one of them, that's why it's gone.
You like that?
Carry it heavy, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
It's the biggest one.
Pretty fancy, right?
Carry that around.
I think Mac really liked that last time. We got to the end of it, and he was spaced out. And he was like, "Oh, that's pretty awesome." That's what I thought. Morgan was like, "It's okay."
He also thought it was the end of the Roman Empire, so
He did. You take that opinion with a grain of salt.
It wasn't in the beginning, was it?
Might be 1,000 years in between.
We'll talk about it
we're
later.
nowhere close.
We'll get there eventually.
How about Roman started with like right before Christ, right? Am I crazy?
Almost a
It's
grudge.
closer to,
Closer to it. Yeah.
Because Saul would have been like what? Persia? No. Babylon?
Assyria.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Before Babylon.
We had this conversation.
Way back there.
Yeah.
They burn in their toe. But you don't know until you know.
You don't know.
You don't
I'll tell you.
It's really confusing.
So-
Like, and to be fair, in this time period, there are like 100 empires that come and go, and they're just back to back to back. And the Bible doesn't really mention it unless it's like 1 second. It's like, and those are in this time. Anyway,
I love the parallels of like the history we were taught in school and where it parallels.
oh yeah,
I've always been. It's interesting.
it's cool.
This is all history.
You public school? I was. Were you public school? I was too.
We did some history classes.
I feel like Alexander the Great,
We
his
did
man
have
I think
some
about, but like,
coaches who taught history, so you didn't really learn in those classes. But then you had some teachers
Well,
who actually taught.
but like
They gave you
Troy
a
and the
study
big
guide.
horse thing. Don't say that's
Troy? Yeah. Oh, by the way, does anyone go see the Odyssey when it comes out? Christopher Nolan?
They're coming out with an Odyssey.
Josh was all
Josh
about
wants
it.
to go see
I
it.
didn't know that.
Probably
Yeah,
end up seeing it.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be a 3-hour movie or something?
Oh, it's gonna be 5 for sure. And it's gonna be time travel and aliens.
It's probably been 2 or 3
Christopher
parts.
Nolan, parallel universes.
Never been over that.
We can't just have.
There'll be
this
a modern
story.
Odyssey and the historical one all running parallel.
I don't think I've ever actually read the whole thing.
Oh, I love the Odyssey.
It's pretty good. Some of it's boring.
And about halfway through, it'll reverse and you'll watch it backwards. And then it'll,
Be flashback to Troy when they're on the beach. Agamemnon.
and then at the end, it'll be all a dream within a dream within a dream.
Yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio's on the beach, washed up at Troy.
Oh, it's not till July.
Yeah, it's summer.
Gracious.
Yeah.
How long does it take to make the Odyssey?
Sounds like a young pro trip, dinner and a movie. No?
Just right
Do we have time to read the book?
That'd be
We
good.
watch a summary.
We can speak.
We can get speed read.
I can put it audio.
Yes, that's a thick one.
It is.
That's a big one.
Ma'am,
It
the
is.
marriage trader. We're not mentioned, but are y'all going to do that?
Anyway, we talked about it, but I don't, nothing else has been said.
I know it's
And
fun.
Mel's losing his job, so I don't know what to pay for it.
Yeah.
But it's only 100 months
Throw
ago.
that out there.
Our kids are too late. She's already
Yeah.
They're to learn about marriage.
Yeah, we'd have to take the littlest one. That doesn't sound like fun, so. We're already flying with them in June, and that's where we're headed.
Where are you going?
Idaho. I
Oh,
didn't know they had anything but potatoes there, but they're going dirt biking all the way, so we're going to look at Yellowstone. So
Oh,
we'll do
that's
it.
fun.
All right.
Everything revolves
I'd rather
around
go
dirt
do
bikes. Idaho.
I know. So taters.
Yeah, that's
like
what I
your
thought I
taters.
had. That's
Yeah.
it.
What's up?
Oh, no.
Speak of the devil. We're talking about the Roman Empire.
All right.
Yeah.
Then
Later.
you don't know, you know. I mean, like I said.
You heard anything about the Odyssey movie coming out?
Yes.
What do you think about it?
I want to watch it. I haven't heard too much, but I want
I've heard controversy about the costumes
to.
because they're like modern and sleek looking
Um,
and not historically accurate. It's always nerds. You know what I mean? Nerds are always like, actually, you know, pre-Alexandrian area. You know,
like, we don't care.
yeah, it's a movie, dude. It's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Get over it. All right, prayer
Was
request.
he Batman?
Do what? He did do Batman. It was that was Christopher Bale, Christian Bale,
Supposed to do Pop-Tart.
Christian Bale. He was the one. Oh, this. That was him. Sorry, prayer request.
Christopher Nolan.
Sorry.
The best Batman is the Lego Batman.
It is good.
That's really good.
I watched that in school one day.
You public school?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm used to. Yeah. Prayer request, anybody? Updates? Everybody good? Has the flu kind of like subsided? Well, the stuff going around, we don't call it the flu or anything, whatever it is. Has that kind of calmed down everybody?
Mom said, you know, she's a school nurse. She said it's still going around, but now it's stomach virus stuff. That's the
Good.
new thing.
We've changed.
Yeah.
Nice, stomach virus.
Yeah,
Which could be worse. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? All right, back to King Killers. Let's go ahead and open up to the book of 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel. So last time, this past Sunday and Wednesday, we talked about the first king of Israel who was
So,
Saul. Saul was a mixed bag, mostly bad. He looked the part, handsome, tall, good military leader, but also very paranoid, would not do what he was asked to do. So eventually, someone named David was to take his place. Saul eventually ends up running around the entire rest of the book of 1 Samuel trying to chase down David. It ends up biting him. He gets killed and strung up by the Philistines. So then we get to David. We'll kind of go through some of this. I think if there is a Mount Rushmore of famous Jews, you had to pick 4. I think it's pretty safe to say David's going to be on there. Anybody want to fight about that?
Abraham, Moses, and David.
Abraham and Moses for sure.
I don't think they go that far back.
I'd say Jesus. Well, maybe the Jews wouldn't say
Jesus,
Jesus.
I put Jesus.
If it's a Christian ranking, you're going to say Jesus. But you do have a couple. So you'd say Abraham, Moses, David,
Solomon.
Elijah, maybe like an Isaiah figure, maybe. What'd you say, T?
Solomon.
Solomon, maybe. Anybody else? I don't know. Point being, I think David's one of the more famous examples. So Jewish people loved him for good reason. 1 Samuel 13 and verse 14, when God commissioned Samuel to go appoint a new king while Saul was still on the throne, he says something kind of interesting. God says in 1 Samuel 13, he's looking for a man after his own heart, which is where we get the idea that David is a man or a king after God's own heart. We'll kind of talk more about what that means as we go along.
just got hell.
The metaphorical heart, unless we're talking about his literal heart. So yeah, we'll talk about more about what that means. Yeah. So one thing that stands out to me here is how respectful David is to Saul. Because you remember, Saul spends most of the book of 1 Samuel chasing after David. And there's not one, but there's 2 situations where David has an opportunity to kill Saul. Like point blank, you're justified, you can do this. One time is David's hiding in a cave. Saul's bringing his whole envoy to come try to kill David instead of like fighting Israel's enemies, like he should have been doing. Saul goes into the cave to relieve himself, the Bible says, which means use the bathroom. I don't know why they use the bathroom in caves. I'm not sure if there was like a way that it got flushed out. I don't know. Or if they were just like, we'll leave this here, no one's going to find it. I don't know. It's always weirded me out. Point being, Saul's as most vulnerable, okay? He goes by himself. Who's in the cave but David and his guys? David and his guys are watching Saul use the bathroom. I don't know. It's in the Bible, okay? So David's buddies are like, hey, this guy's been chasing you, trying to kill you. You can get him right now. Like, we can end this whole thing right now. Do what?
While he's on the toilet.
His most vulnerable position. There's a reason people fear using the bathroom, right? It's someone's going to kill you. Are they hiding in the shower? We don't know. So instead, what David does, he takes a bit of his cloth, cuts it. Saul gets done. David kind of gets out and weighs it and says, hey, I could have got you. Could have got you. Saul realizes, I've been made. Sorry, buddy, I won't do it again. Does he do it again?
Yes.
Yeah, he does it again. Same kind of situation. David could have killed him. David has mercy. But the reason he does it is because he says, it is the Lord's anointed. I won't raise my hand against the Lord's anointed. The irony is that by this time, David had already been anointed the new king, and Saul was to be kicked off. David still has so much respect for Saul and God by proxy that he said, I'm not even going to touch him. Like, he deserves this kind of respect because he's God's anointed. So it kind of shows a little bit of his attitude and his heart. So we get to the book of 2 Samuel, where we first get introduced to David really as the king. And so David hears of Saul's death. Ironically, it's an Amalekite that comes to David and says, hey, Saul's dead. David gets so upset at this Amalekite in the news that he kills the Amalekite and kind of like chops him up a little bit, which is, again, kind of like overboard. Like the Amalekites, it doesn't seem like he's being very disrespectful about it. He's just like, hey, I thought you should know. I came over to tell you. And David's like, you're going to die for that. The Amalekite's like, oh, okay. So he kills the Amalekite. It's not, but again, just to go back and say that David really, really respected the position that Saul was in, even though Saul was always trying to kill him. Before we move forward, is there a lesson perhaps for the modern Christian in this?
What's your question?
Is there a lesson for the modern Christian in David's respect for Saul?
I was kind of thinking about what you said about the second killing.
Yeah.
Do I remember that it was, he said, I'm the man who did it. How do you know he's dead? I'm the man who
Yeah,
did it.
that's right.
I'm the man who killed him.
Was it that way?
Yeah, because he said he begged me
Oh, that's right.
to do
Yeah.
it, so I did.
That's right. Yeah, he did kill him. That's right.
Because I knew he couldn't survive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was struggling and he
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me.
Are you looking for respect the governing authorities? Is that what we're looking for?
Could be.
I can see some people saying that.
There's that.
So, yeah.
So what about a fellow brother or sister? They're acting out, being a jerk, not being Christ-like. Is there a reason to love and respect them still?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're God's people.
So there's still someone that Jesus died for,
Mhm.
right? This still belongs to the family of God. Do I have the right to treat them like garbage just because they're treating me like garbage? Not always. I'm not saying like don't stand up for yourself or don't make a stand and say like, hey, we can't, you can't treat me like this. But it also sets a precedent of like, I respect God so much that He died for you and deals with your nonsense. And if God can deal with your nonsense, I can deal with your nonsense too. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Again, that's not to say there's not moments where you show them, I could destroy you. Not like I'm going to get you when you're on the toilet, but like, I might have the right to bring something against you if you keep this up or whatever. Like to show them I'm restricting my power because I respect God and I love you because God loves you. Does that kind of make sense? I think if I'm right about that, that seems like a part of the reason that David was a man after God's own heart was that he respected God enough to respect His anointed and allow God to figure out how that's going to work. So he knows that Saul's not going to be on the throne eventually and he's going to be king, but he's not willing to take that step of, I'm going to make that happen by my own hand. He's like, whatever God has in store that's how it's gonna work out. Thoughts or comments about that? Questions?
It's not near to the same level, but when Paul writes to Corinth, he goes, look, I'm writing to you to address some of these things because I don't want to have to, when I come to you in person, be harsh. So there's this sort of, look, I have every right to just blast you people, but I'm starting this way because, well, it's his love for the church.
Yeah. I think that meekness and self-control is seen a lot in, I guess, God's prophets or people who are trying to be like God. Like, could wipe you out, won't. Being patient. Anybody else?
Vengeance is mine, I will repay. He definitely did repay Saul.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's also about letting God do that, like however that's going to work out. Yeah. Good thoughts. Anybody else? So that kind of introduces David's rule. So now Saul is tragically killed. David has to kind of figure out, so what are the next steps? Where did Saul leave off? And just like Saul, he does a good job. Like, he's a good military leader. He kind of chases off a lot of these people who are left over. He defeats the Philistines a few times. And so basically David's tasked with doing what Israel did not do during the period of Joshua. Remember, in Joshua, drive out all the people from the land. They don't do it. So then we have the period of the judges, and that leads to Saul and the problems there. David's kind of tasked by proxy to deal with all of these nations, like get them out of there. And for the most part, he does a good job. For the most part, idolatry is kind of kicked to the side. Israel really becomes like an established power in the region, really for the first time ever. Up to this point, Israel was kind of more like how Greece was before, like city-states. Like when we think about Greece, we think about a unified like body. But really back before Alexander the Great, it was like, well, you have Sparta, who's its own nation, kind of like city-state. You have Athens, who's its own city-state. That's kind of how this was. Like you came into the land and there was Judah, its own tribe, Benjamin, its own tribe, Levi, like all these different tribes. Well, they were one combined force, but it wasn't really like they were together. And you saw that when it was like, hey, we got to go fight against somebody. Every tribe had to go bring somebody. It was like kind of a clunky, not streamlined effort. When David gets in, it kind of becomes like a unified like nation. This is kind of when we get to the period in Bible history called the unified nation, or a unified kingdom, united kingdom. And it doesn't, not the UK, by the way, we're not talking about England, but the United Kingdom in the sense that we're all under one king and we're all following one God. Any questions or thoughts about that before we move on? And so we get to a point where David realizes we got a lot of success, we're moving stuff around, stuff's going on. So why are we still using the old system of tabernacle? That's something we don't talk about a lot. That's still going on. So in the wilderness, you had a tabernacle, which was a tent, and you would move the ark, set the tabernacle, move the ark, set the tabernacle up. So when we get to Jerusalem, this is really the place where David settles, and he thinks this is a place where I can build a temple. So like a permanent residence, not just a little tent you move around, but like a permanent place that God can live. So I want to go to 2 Samuel 7. 2 Samuel 7, and in a moment I want somebody to read 8 through 17, whoever's brave to do that. But basically David has this idea in chapter 7, and just like Saul had Samuel to kind of bounce ideas off of, and Samuel's more like guiding him in the right way, David also has a guy named Nathan. And we always talk about Nathan in the Bathsheba sense, you're the man, but he's also kind of an advisor. Like it seems like he sort of guides David and kind of bounces ideas and speaks to God for him. So David's basically telling Nathan, hey, I want to build a temple for God. You know, what are you going to do with that? And God basically tells Nathan, tell him no. Thanks, but no thanks. We have another plan in mind. So let's pick up here, 2 Samuel chapter 7, and someone brave, read verses 8 through 17. 2 Samuel 7, 8 through 17.
So now this is what you are to say to my servant David. This is what the Lord of armies says. I took you from the pasture, from tending the flock to be ruler over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I have destroyed all your enemies before you. I'll make a great name for you like that of the greatest on the earth. I'll designate a place for my people Israel and plant them, so that they may live there and not be disturbed again. Evildoers will not continue to oppress them as they have done ever since the day I ordered judges to be over my people Israel. I'll give you rest from all your enemies. The Lord declared to you, the Lord himself will make a house for you. When your time comes and you rest with your ancestors, I'll raise up after you your descendant. He'll come from your body, and I'll establish his kingdom. What did you say, 14?
To 17.
Oh, 17.
Yeah.
He is the one who will build a house for my name, and I'll establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I'll be his father, and he'll be my son. When he does wrong, I'll discipline him with the rod of men and blows from mortals. But my faithful love will never leave him, as it did when I removed it from Saul, whom I removed from before you. Your house and kingdom will endure before me forever, and your throne will be established forever. Nathan reported all these words and this entire vision to David.
David has an idea. I want to build a temple. Nathan originally says, great. Then God tells Nathan, no, this is what you're going to tell David instead. Is there like a particular reason that's given why David can't do it in this passage?
Not that I saw.
It's just kind of, it's not the right time. But have you ever heard someone say that there is a reason he couldn't do it?
Mm-hmm.
If so, what?
Too much blood on his hands?
Yeah, too much blood in his hands. This is a cool connection because 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles kind of have a parallel timeline that gives you a different perspective. So if you just read 2nd Samuel, you'd come away with this exchange like, well, God just, it's not time. Oh, it's just not a convenient time for us to do this. But if you go to 1st Chronicles 22, it kind of has more of a priestly side. This is more of like a broad overview of the kings and then the judges period. So 1st Chronicles 22, someone get for us verses 8 through 10. 1st Chronicles 22, 8 through 10.
The word of the Lord came to me, saying, You have shed much blood and have waged great wars. You shall not build a house to my name, because you have shed so much blood on the earth before me. Behold, a son will be born to you who shall be a man of rest, and I will give him rest from all his enemies on every side. For his name shall be Solomon, and I will give peace and quiet to Israel in his days.
Through 10.
Oh, through 10, okay. He shall build a house for my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever.
So you kind of have in 2 Samuel a little more vague. What are some differences between the account in 2 Samuel and 1 Chronicles that you can see?
Well, he's very specific in why he's not going to allow him to build the temple, and specific in exactly who will build the temple.
Yeah, exactly right. So for 2 Samuel, rather, we just have your son. Did David have a few sons?
Yeah, a couple.
Couple. We'll get to that in a little bit. He had several sons. Which one? So then you skip to 1 Chronicles 22. Things are a little clearer. And so now we have a little more reasons why. With the too much blood in your hands, this the ESV, you shed much blood and have waged great wars. You shall not build a house to my name because you shed so much blood before me on the earth. What's that speaking to? Why is that a big deal?
Maybe it could represent God in a bad.
Okay.
Like if you see someone who has, killed a lot of people or shed a lot of blood, and then they send them to build a temple for God, and you don't know anything about God, it could be bad.
Okay. Could be. So it's like not the right person for the job, or like speaking to a character. Right. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't really understand the rationale behind that. Unless it's just sort of saying, no, your job was conquest, somebody else's job will be building. Like, I mean, that's,
It could have been that. And you kind of get that sense too as you read it. Like you've done this, and then when Solomon takes the throne, there'll be a time of peace. Like all the nations around him, like he won't have a need to really kill anybody.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like it should be a punishment, because God himself sheds a lot of blood.
Yeah,
in the Old
and
Testament.
it kind of makes it seem like, is God mad that David killed Goliath?
Right.
So, one of the first, some of the first few things Solomon doesn't he kill a few people as well?
I do. Yeah, I can be able to kill. Yeah. Yeah, so there's that.
yeah, but it seems more about the tone
Yeah.
of the time, the tone of the reign. And like, without it being during Solomon's time, you don't have the access to all of the cedars of Lebanon and all
Correct.
of the,
Right.
all of the stuff.
Correct. There's a resource game too. Yeah.
But can we go back to 2 Samuel
Sure.
just for a minute? Because, I mean, this whole, let's see. Yeah, verse 10. I'll appoint a place for my people Israel and will plant them so that they may dwell in their own place and be disturbed no more.
Yeah.
Violent men shall afflict them no more as formerly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just happens for a brief period.
Yeah.
In the grand picture of things.
That's, yeah.
So is there a, but reading that whole chunk, it's like it's also connected to the fact that like David's line will continue, which we know ultimately translates to a spiritual application.
Right.
So is that what this is?
That's a good question. So if you're reading
What does
it,
that mean then?
yeah, if you're reading it in the grand scheme of things, which we are, you realize David's line physically doesn't reign forever. It's pretty quick. It's like pretty quick after, and everybody gets taken off to captivity. And then with the temple, it not only happens once, but twice where it's destroyed. So you're like, what? So either we're left with two options. Either God was mistaken or lied, or there's something else going on. It's kind of the two options, right? So what else would that be pointing to? The temple, where there'll be peace. What else? What other kind of reality could that be looking forward?
The spiritual kingdom, which is Christ on the throne of David.
Right.
Christ is a physical descendant
Right.
of David, but also.
And we would say that would be the church. That's what we always go to. Oh, it's the church. Is there violence in the church sometimes?
I mean, it started with quite a bit of persecution for several hundred years.
I think so. So is that the true reality of this temple? It's going to be peace, or is it something else? Could it be heaven? So we kind of talk about this. And I know if Austin was here, he'd go into a big long dialogue. You know,
She's downstairs. She's probably not.
we can probably call
He's
him.
doing it. He's just doing it.
Let's phone him in. Austin, what do you think?
So, I
It's the
mean-
cities.
It's the cities.
In 12, he goes to talk about the seed who's going to come from his body.
Right.
And establish his kingdom. So it
Yeah.
could very well be heaven.
Could be. And that's the thing I kind of wanted to get at too. So Jesus' kingdom was established by his self-sacrifice. Chop suey, we talked about that last time. System of a Down? No, never mind. So violence really was a part of the establishment of the church. Stephen gets stoned, there's persecution. So it's almost like we're still waiting for what is that establishment of a further place where there's not going to be violence, and it sounds all like heaven.
Yeah.
So I think even to, oh, you're saying no?
No, I'm just saying, like,
I saw what I said.
the way that's said from Nathan to David, there's no way David understands that.
No.
There's no way that David doesn't
Yeah.
perceive that as the physical nation that he's now king of. That, like,
Yes.
there's
No,
just
that
way
you've
to-
helped establish. Like, don't worry, we got it taken care of. Great. You know, he's like, awesome. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, that doesn't, yeah. So then it also makes sense when, you know, the Jewish people come upon some persecution, their armies coming against them. we talked about this morning a little bit. Assyria and Sennacherib, their king, brings a huge army to Jerusalem, and they're just dead in the water. There's like no chance for them. So angel, really the spirit of God, an angel of the Lord comes and sacks a ton of them, and they run away. So people in Jerusalem start to think we're invulnerable. Like God cares so much about his temple and his place and his kingdom that we can't fall, even if we start worshiping other gods, because God's here. So they kept getting prophets and prophets, hey, you can't be doing this. And it turns out that's not what God meant. God didn't mean you're invulnerable just because the temple's here. Is there also a modern application for the church?
Well, I mean, because it's also true that while he makes this promise, there's nothing, he's not voided the covenants in place, right? So he's made a covenant to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Right.
Then there's a covenant on Mount Sinai, but that doesn't negate the promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's just a further step in its fulfillment.
Yep.
So then this is said to David, but it's always sort of kept under the covenant that God made with those people to begin with, which spelled out what would happen to them
Yep.
if they don't keep their end of the covenant.
Right.
And so even if you just read this particular thing from a physical standpoint, even though it's not spelled out, in that context, there's always still sort of that, but remember what your expectations are as a nation.
Yeah.
And the consequences I've already said. So even from that perspective.
But they might have tricked themselves into thinking we're good.
No doubt.
Do you think Christians sometimes get a little lax because we're like, we have Christ?
Yeah.
Little ABC based on me mentality. Didn't you hate that growing up? You're playing tag and there's a base, and then someone brings out a cheat code and says, oh, if I chant these magic words, I can just run around and have no consequences, right? So we do that sometimes.
That kid
Do what?
I said, we never played that way.
Is it based on me?
Oh, we play that way.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Were you homeschooled?
Long beforehand.
Partially.
I knew it. It's
Later.
ABC based on me, Brett. Uh-huh.
That's the kid we invited to play wall ball the next time.
Yeah.
Just pig.
Yeah, dodgeball.
Not that I condone.
You never heard of that?
Never heard it.
So it's an idea that someone can be on base, they tag it and chant the magic incantation, then run around, everything's fine.
ABC based on?
And then you tag them, and it's like the Cowboys and Indians were like, bang, I shot you. No, because I dodged it. And you're making up rules.
Less
Like you're just
fun.
making up
Yeah.
rules, right? So I fear that Christians do this sometimes where we're the church and Christ died for us, and we get heaven no matter what ABC based on me. We're like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, so God said make disciples and like work hard and stuff. Like, if I just run out the clock, I get heaven. So I'm like invulnerable, right? And it kind of makes us a little bit lazy, makes us lax, because we think God's made this promise to me through Christ, I'm good. Does God have a history of showing his people that they're not good? I think so. So you'll forgive me, but whenever I hear someone advocating for churches and saying, oh, the world's just hard to evangelize, and burr, 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 burr. I get you, but first we need to ask, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? So I can go on this whole rampage about how the world's awful and stuff, but like, God's not really super concerned about correcting the world outside of Christ. He wants to correct me and then send me to go change the world. So it's a little bit of the same thing going on, right? Like, I made this promise forever. Does that mean that I'm free from consequences regardless of my actions? No. I'll still get the boot if I don't remember all these things. Any comments or questions so far?
Well, not to open a can of worms, but
Do it. We're at the end of class.
No, that's always so in Jesus's parables and in the statement of rewarding according to their deeds or judging according to deeds, right? And the parables sort of describe some of that. We always just sort of teach that as heaven or hell, like salvation or not. But what if that's not what some of those are teaching? What if, because I'm saved not because of my deeds, like clearly it's because of what Christ did. So But there's reward talked about. Heaven is not a reward. So what if there is reward in some way for the work, for the deeds, but that reward isn't salvation because you are already saved? Does that make any sense?
It could be.
And then there's
Yeah.
because there's some argument for degrees of punishment, degrees of reward, and there's not a degree of salvation. But we just, heaven, we're going to heaven.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me that I deserve the same reward that Paul gets. And I know that's weird. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
he deserves heaven more than nobody deserves to be there, but there is other theological discussion that comes into play that's like,
Well, look at that. We're out of time. So,
yeah, I don't.
but does that speak to the what Paul writes? If there is any encouragement, if there is, are there spiritual benefits and rewards that you get for living in that way? Yeah, maybe so. Yes,
This is an advanced talk for me. I mean, I'm a little lost, but the way I picked up from that is like, couldn't you view a reward as if you live how God tells us to live, following His word, your life becomes, I don't want to say easier, but it does. You become more stress-free because you can rely on God. You can still do your life. It's hard to explain, but it really just boils down to like your life just becomes a little easier. To pursue God, you get better friends. You have a stronger foundation almost. Couldn't that be a reward?
Would you say that there are certain fruits that you gain?
Yeah.
Maybe like of the Spirit?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's absolutely true, but what I kind of had in mind is this emphasis on at the day of judgment, they're judged according to our works.
Yeah. Yeah, like each deed is counted. Yeah.
And so does that simply mean because if Jesus has forgiven us, then none of the sin's going to be brought up, and so that's what distinguishes. But reward for your labors, that's a different layer to me. I don't.
One thing I've heard addressing that has been, it could be the level of appreciation of the reward. For example, Paul's going to enjoy it far much more than somebody who was in at ABC on the one get in, but if he has that much more appreciation of it, so he will enjoy it more than somebody who's not at that level. Because I go to thinking about the parable on the vineyard workers who they were paid the same for the life. So it could be that difference because those guys were not appreciating what he was giving, whereas others were not appreciating it.
I think you can kind of tell how much someone is going to appreciate the afterlife based on how they are working to get there. Much like what he's kind of saying, because it's like with Paul, you can tell by how he is working and living his life here on earth that he is very excited to get there. Like he even writes about that. While with other Christians who are like lazier or don't do as much things like that, they're going to get there and they're going to appreciate it, or they're going to appreciate it, but you can tell by how much gusto for their Christianity they have, how much they might appreciate it.
Do so. All right, next time, talk about David's downfall and his shortcomings. Thoughts, comments, closing? All right, let's pray, then let's go. Father, we're grateful for the time together. We're thankful for the opportunity to study your word. We're thankful for your servant David, everything that he did for the kingdom of Israel to progress things to the point that we can read about him, study about him. Father, we're mindful of those who are sick this morning. We're mindful of those who are struggling, those who are hurting. Pray that we would have the strength and the courage to reach out to them as you've reached out to us and helped us. Pray that what we're doing this morning makes you proud of who we are, and we grow, and we're edified by what we do and what we hear. Praise in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks, Joe.
Just so you know, there are multiple lessons online about ABC based on me. People